What's up, guys? Um, Back at it again. It's been a bit of an odd, I guess you could say, um, not an odd, but we're continuing the streak. Last week was still not perfect, but like I told you, it's gonna be an up grind towards consistency. But the good thing is that we've been more consistent than we have before. But the key is, to make sure that we get it down to the 5 days and then just continue down that road, and that is the case. Um, I feel and I look like more fucked up simply because I haven't taken a shower for the past. Um, I haven't taken a shower today. I haven't taken a shower Sunday. I haven't taken a shower Saturday, and then Friday. Like, I mean, Friday I did take a shower, but yeah. So technically, it's about like 3 days, really 3 full days. So yeah. So I feel dirty in my socks. That kind of feeling when you haven't taking a shower and then my dandruff starts to build up because of that. Sometimes it's good to have those times, but I don't want to have those times right now. So, yeah. And then I also just kind of laid off of the fucking food and then started to just, you know, eat bad. Like I was on a good streak, and then Sunday I ate like a cheese bread that I wanted to try, and it was really good and it was perfect. But then after that, I ate more. I pizza the next day and pizza the next day, and then Sunday I ended it off with eating like a burger. So of course we're not in a bad position, but we just need to pick it back up to where we were. So we're back at it again today, tomorrow, next day until Friday. I'm gonna eat like a burger, and then we continue on the 1 day routine, and that's it. So that's what it comes down to. I knew my hair was gonna grow out very fast. Like it's still obviously short, but I know it's gonna get big by the time. I'd even argue till the end of May. It's gonna get back to. It's not super back to where I was before, but kind of. Cause it was pretty long before, but it's gonna get there like that. The sides is what's gonna take longer, like the back side. Like all of that will probably take like around, like from now would probably take all the way to like August for it to all build up like the way it needs to. So that's about close to 4 months. That's fine. All right. All right. But, besides that, there's a lot of other couple things that, have to be taken care of. I would say probably like, I would say, tomorrow I have an interview, so that's good. I'm applying to more jobs, and no matter what, even if after I get that job, I'll still continue. I'll just apply less and do that. But we don't know. I don't want to jinx the whole situation. So we'll see what happens. We'll figure it out as it comes along. I've kind of learned that I don't want to jinx anything, because the minute that you do that, something bad is going to happen. I don't know. Yeah. Sometimes I look at my mustache and I just feel like a twirly kind of villain. Like, you you look. But yeah. But yeah. Overall, I would say that that's the case. There's a lot of stuff that have to happen within that, and then that's pretty much it. But yeah, we're gonna make it through, bro. I'm gonna make it happen. I've been watching a lot of other couple people, between Aiden, a bit of Kai, Gideon, um, um, A lot of these people, I've been sort of, I guess you could say, catching up with, watching. I swear, I'm gonna be on the other side of that. Like it's not gonna be. This streaming shit. It just kind of becomes really weird when you like that, and I know, and it's not like out of complete ego. Like although I do have that, and I have complete self belief in myself, but it's not just that. It's also just the practicality of how easy it is to get to the other side. So I'm gonna make it. And like I said, every single day I'm just like it's like a sort of mantra that I repeat to myself. It's like, especially in the stream. I don't repeat it in general, but I repeat it in the stream. Like it's like I know I'm gonna make it through, and it's just a matter of time with everything. And my life couldn't. Sometimes I complicate it with a lot of mental things, but overall it's pretty simple. It just stems with really these three things, which is get the job. Within that job, get get out this house and get your apartment. Then with the content creation, succeed with that, and then run it up to wherever you need to run it up to. Which right now I'm kind of getting down to like what that specifically is in terms of subscribers amount, in terms of notoriety, in terms of what the average viewership of what I wanted to be. And then after that, I accomplished the goal, um and then I make it happen. And then, once that happens, then it's just a matter of time, really, for when it's appropriate to sort of initiate or initiate or start up the third thing. And the third thing I would have been preparing for way ahead of time, as of now. But there's certain particular things that are offered within the opportunity of that time frame of me succeeding within the content creation that absolutely right after that I have to take advantage of, because all of that is going to be in an important factor of what's going to prepare my third thing, which is my mission. Which of course I will never tell you guys. If I slip up, well then that's my fucking fault. But I make sure that I don't ever do that. But even if I do, I play this mental trick in my game that it could be about completely anything else, and you wouldn't really even know, despite even me saying what it specifically is. That in itself wouldn't be specific enough to tell you. So it's like a mental trick that I do in my mind, so that I don't expose it, and so that overall it remains right there. But yeah, but overall, I'm at this good place, I guess you could say, and I'm gonna know there's a lot of things that have to be done within that arena. So we're gonna make it happen. All right. Well, we got about 50 minutes down the line. So is there anything else that I need to say? Oh, I've also just recently watched this movie called Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It's a beautiful movie. I'm glad I got it. I got like a Criterion type of film casing, Blu-ray casing, and it's a beautiful film. I love the ending shot of it. I love Johnny Depp's performance. I love the cinematography, and I've been compared to that director before, the director who directed that movie, which is Terry Gilliam. Because I made a movie called The Lonely Thespian when I was in high school, and I got an award for that. And when I shared that to my sort of filmmaker mentor, to per se, he's not really like a mentor now, but he used to be when I was pursuing filmmaking purely. And he when I sent that email, he gave me like he gave me all the review points and analysis points. But at the ending portion of that, he compared my film to, like, it had a. He said that it had a very Christopher Nolan and Terry Gilliam vibe. And of course, I knew Christopher Nolan because I was heavily inspired by him directly, even by that time. But I didn't know about Terry Gilliam. And with Christopher Nolan, it's sort of the prestige factor. He's obsessed over that concept, and I'm also obsessed over that concept of what that means. Like that guy literally has a movie called The Prestige. Like I'm yeah, and like him, I'm obsessed with that concept. And so, within that sense, artistically to be specific, and within that sense, I really um did that. But with the Terry Gilliam, obviously I didn't know what he meant because I didn't watch the movie. But watching that movie, and I'm planning to watch his like what's considered his best film, which is Brazil. Uh, it's I just think that it's a very I don't know how to describe it, but there's like it's a combination of like a surrealist element between the character and the overall encompassing point of view that is made sure that is accompanied by the vibe of the film and everything about it. And I think I have that very much. So yeah, I just love the film. I love the ending portion of it. It's like that. Like to me, the film was really much about sort of the American dream and what it means, and sort of analyzing what that means from a sort of surrealist, existentialist, and almost nihilistic perspective. And I like that. I like that the analysis of that and what that means. And I think in the future, that idea and that notion about that is really gonna fucking mean something in the future. And when it does take into full effect, it will be a very beautiful thing. So yeah. But enough of that. Let's get down to the shit. And of course, not every time, but because we're getting used to this, every single time that we stream, the energy's gonna be run up. You're gonna see me all crazy, and that is it. But right now, I don't really have the pressure to do that. I just, of course, if it's natural, it's gonna come on. But I'm trying to be natural within this as much as possible, like almost like if there's no camera here and I'm just talking. That's the idea that I'm trying to get. And then after that, you implement the performance aspect, which will come, but not now, not yet, not fully. So, all right. Well, let's do this. I mean, I'm gonna have to put the glasses on for this. The secret truth behind Habzula's success. He's not who you think he is. Yeah, I've been wondering who the fuck this guy is. Should I watch that? Nah, I don't really care. I've seen that guy before, but I don't really care. Alright, yeah, we're just gonna do the three classic channels. We're gonna switch it up tomorrow, but right now we're just gonna do that. I don't want to overcomplicate it. Um, all right, let's watch this.
Once you meet with a TurboTax expert
Stupid
who will do
ass
your taxes for
advertisement.
you,
I'm gonna have to
you're
get rid
free
of
to
this.
do not taxes.
These bins have to be the most disgusting thing in the modern kitchen, and yet we all put up with it. So our government wants...
Hello everyone, this is...
Yeah, I'm probably gonna take care of it either tomorrow or Wednesday. This, because I need to add the premium, whatever, to avoid this bullshit ads. Okay.
This is your daily... Hello everyone, this is your daily dose of internet.
Birthday, dear Kimberly.
Don't worry, nobody was hurt.
Wait.
Kimberly.
Dose of internet.
Oh.
Hello everyone,
Kimberly.
your daily dose of internet.
Birthday, dear Kimberly.
Don't worry, nobody was hurt.
I was genuinely surprised. Like they were. Sometimes I can step out, but then I was caught up in that. So.
What does that say? Honk for 2022 grad?
So this is actually really cool. This woman trained her hamster to trim her nails.
What? I guess there must be a satisfying aspect to all of that. Feeling the feel.
You want some cereal?
Yeah.
Can I make it for you in a minute when I'm done using the bathroom?
I have never seen a creature like this in my entire life. This man found a weird type of mole rat in Romania.
Yeah?
That is really weird. What the fuck? Aden. Dude, I
This
feel
is a
disgusting right
professional.
now.
Please do not attempt. This pilot wanted to show off his skills by having his plane dive down and spin while trying his best to not lose any water.
I think I see a raccoon. A raccoon! Are you a raccoon or a person?
Have you ever
That's a
seen a
person,
constipated
bro.
kitten before?
You've got this. Push.
This ape is smart enough to know how to use a juice box.
I started washing parts in a gas bucket when I was 12 years old, and I wound up teaching at the highest level for General Motors. There's no higher than that.
You can fix anything but me.
Can't fix stupid.
This is a
God damn. That was a Sigma response. That was a Sigma response, bro. God damn. I need to stop saying that, bro. But yes, damn.
professional. Please do not attempt. Red Bull attached an entire skate park to a hot air balloon, and then they had a professional
Hey,
BMX rider do
yo.
tricks up there.
How does that feel, bro? What the fuck?
Doves might be small, but when it comes to protecting their eggs, they can really pack a punch. I never knew this, but I guess sushi needs to be frozen before being served in restaurants. The purpose is to kill the parasites that are present in fish. So the scientists wanted to see how it works by taking parasites from raw fish and putting them in a freezer. After a few days, he saw that the parasites died, but the eggs from the parasites were still present and were capable of hatching. That is the end of this video. We hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys again very, very soon. Later.
That was alright. Not the best, but not everyone is going to be the best. Alright. I feel like we could do another one. Let's do this new one. Fuck it.
Hello everyone, this is your daily dose of internet. People are starting to learn that microwaving hard-boiled eggs isn't a great idea.
Strange cat.
This has to be the most talented pants folder in the world.
I could have used those skills when I was working at the store. I still have that like mental like idea of folding and shit. So
This soldier's parachute didn't deploy properly during a military exercise.
Oh, you see that guy right there? That's it. Oh,
This duck parachute didn't deploy properly during a military exercise.
oh, you see that guy right there? That's it. Oh,
This duck loves getting kisses.
yo, part of me kinda thinks about the idea of like joining the military, but the only problem is that like I just don't support every aspect of what they do, and at the end of the day, like maybe of course the idea of war is always going to be there's always going to be some kind of implementation of profit, or as people call it, the military industrial complex about things. But I just don't. I rather, and I know this sounds selfish, but I'd rather build something because a part of the reason there's two reasons as to why I would want to join the military, and I'm just gonna go off on this little tangent real quick. Is because one is for the camaraderie, that specific camaraderie, and I think there's a level of seriousness that can be carried within that, and that it's not just about yourself, but it's about the group of people and about the whole thing. And then secondly, I would say it's because of the kind of man that it would build me up to be. Like inevitably I would become something stronger. But at the end of the day, I think I'd rather just build things in a sort of I mean like there's no need for that. Like it's kind of like the same idea of like college. It's like a lot of people go to college for the wrong reasons and reasons that don't actually build up to anything fruitful. And so in the moment it may seem painful, but at the end of the road you understood why you took the decision that you took. And so yes, it may work for some other people, but clearly for me it's just of course there's a part of it that I will sort of artificially kind of instill when it comes to school, but when it comes to the military it's just as simple as if you want that hard and kind of masculine experience, you just have to fight. You go to a boxing ring, go to some kind of fight club in which they could train you to build up certain, things, and that will happen early on. That will be something that I'll be doing, that I'll be focusing on and doing. But at the end of the day, um, throughout my life. And then at a certain point, and this right here is instrumental to that. Like exactly doing this is instrumental to that because this is a gateway towards the world and toward and as this I'm gonna use every opportunity, including getting the best fighters in the world to train me into and the best capabilities and everything to do that. That's why I'm inspired by like people like KSI and people like all these YouTubers that are boxing, but particularly KSI, is because I knew where he came from. He was like this sort of nerdy kind of kid, and through his success with YouTube and this clout that he essentially got, he used that to develop other things. Now, no offense, KSI, but I think I'm gonna do it at a better extent and better in a more elite way, in an MJ way, and it's as simple as that. Like I'm really gonna get to the goal, the ideal, the plan when it comes to all of this, and I can't wait. So yeah.
The school hosted an event for the parents of students to race against each other, and one of the moms that was racing is a two-time Olympic gold medalist.
Can I see that one?
Is a two-time Olympic
Shelly Ann Fraser Price, Jamaican.
gold medalist.
Hey yo.
Get it. Oh. Get it. Oh. Get it. Oh.
That fucking flip.
Get it. Oh.
Yo, what? I'm watching that. Okay, he does a flip. He throws a knife out of the hand that you, and he throws that again. Grabs the knife and lifts that, and then probably took a lot of practice.
Paramedics in the UK are training with jetpacks to make it easier to save people who are in remote locations far away from any roads. This drone pilot was recording some video footage of a volcano when they got a little too close.
Oh my!
I have never seen a cat.
Dude, that shit.
I have.
Is it a drone?
This drone pilot was recording some video footage of a volcano when they got a little too close. I have never seen a cat give this type of attitude before.
Jump, dude. Oh, sorry.
These scientists made a device that can levitate pieces of styrofoam using sound waves. This is what happens when you poke a blue button jellyfish. It took me a few watches to finally get it. This helicopter rescue team spotted someone that was stuck
Yeah, I know, he was up there.
in an avalanche with only their face and arm above the snow. That is the end of this video, or we hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys again very, very soon. Later.
Alright, that was cool. Alright, let's go towards... I could either do generosity or I could just do fucking existentialist type of film. Not film, like a video, whatever. Let me see. Nihilism. I think this is a good video. Fuck it, let's do this.
May I play with you, monsieur?
A lot of this history is not known.
Well, I hope this won't be embarrassing for you.
Nothingness is generally considered to be analogous with death and extinction, which every healthy living instinct wants to avoid. Many find the notion of nothingness unfathomable. The following thinker, however, was convinced that the way out of nihilism, that which renders meaningless the meaning of life, could only be reached by gazing into the abyss itself. The fundamental problem of my life has always been, to put it simply, the overcoming of nihilism through nihilism. Keiji Nishitani was a Japanese philosopher of the Kyoto school, born in 1900. The school combines Western philosophy and religion with Eastern traditions. It is philosophy as a way of life, in which one acquires wisdom for enlightenment. Nishitani went out of his way to deeply understand both Western and Eastern philosophy. Through all these interests, he had one fundamental concern which was constantly at work, a doubt about the very existence of the self. In Zen, this is known as the Great Doubt. The psychological pressure that comes with the struggle of life leads to an awakening. At the bottom of Great Doubt lies Great Awakening. If you doubt fully, you will awaken fully. Nishitani characterizes this doubt concerning the self, which originally motivated his philosophical quest, quite explicitly as nihilism. It is a mood that comes from the deepest despair, when we become a question to ourselves, and when the problem of why we exist arises. However, most of the time, daily work and amusement helps to distract us from our encounter with nothingness. At the age of 14, Nishitani was met with the utter hopelessness after his father had died. Shortly thereafter, he was struck down by an illness similar to the tuberculosis that had killed his father. In this existential mode of anxiety, he was faced with a chilling encounter with nothingness, and felt the spectre of death taking hold of him. At this point, all the ordinary necessary things of life all lose their necessity and utility. One is robbed from what once had made life worth living. The questions, why did this happen to me? What can I do about it? Are transformed into the questions, who am I? Why do I exist? A void appears here that nothing in the world can fill. A gaping abyss opens up at the very ground on which one stands. This mental torment led Nishitani to philosophy, and to pursue a career in the field as a professor. He writes, "My life as a young man can be described in a single phrase. It was a period absolutely without hope. My life at the time lay entirely in the grips of nihility and despair. My decision, then, to study philosophy was in fact, melodramatic as it might sound, a matter of life and death."
It's exactly how I feel about art, and I'm just gonna go on a little bit of a tangent here, but that's why these videos are good, because they sort of give me a particular impulse to talk about, you know, exactly like these kinds of topics. These are the kinds of topics that I want to talk about. Like, these are the topics that bring about no pretending of any sort. We could just be quite honest about things. So the thing that I want to comment just a little bit about that is just simply look at that. Okay. Is just simply the fact that I would say that what could I say? Like well, what did he mention? I need to go back.
Melodramatic as it might sound.
A matter of life or death. Yeah, okay. So I would say that art to me is pretty much that. Like the expression of that. I need to exist within the state of that because otherwise, living in another kind of way is just it's suffocating. And um it's like I could describe it. I would say it's even worse than that, but if I could give you like a sort of idea of what it is it's like, that idea of like when you wanna have sex and of course you can't have it and it's just that hold that you're trying to keep in but you want to let it out. And that's kind of how it feels when it comes to art. It's just that. But it's more pure and more um specific when it comes to that and more deeper when it comes to that. And I exactly feel that same way about art. So there's other aspects about that that I could address, but maybe it'll come along. But that's what I would say right now.
Sound, a matter of life and death. As a young man, Nishitani used to carry Nietzsche's Thus Spoke Zarathustra around with him wherever he went. It was like his Bible. He was also influenced by Martin Heidegger and spent 2 years studying under him from 1937 to 1939. Nishitani died in Kyoto, Japan at the age of 90. The bulk of his work lies in his enormously rich 26-volume collected works, several monographs, and articles. His personal library was composed of nearly 1,000 volumes of works in Western languages and 4,100 in Japanese, which were donated to the university where he taught. For Nishitani, the question of nihilism is the most urgent, the most personal, and most radical
I love
of
this
all.
art.
We will be focusing on two important works of Nishitani, The Self-Overcoming of Nihilism and Religion and Nothingness. The Self-Overcoming of Nihilism is the result of a series of lectures on the subject of nihilism that Nishitani gave in Japan. It also constitutes the first substantial introduction of Nietzsche's philosophical ideas to a general Japanese audience. In this earlier work, the primary themes stem from European philosophy, mostly existentialism, with Zen Buddhist ideas at the background. In his later work and masterpiece,
Religion and Nothingness. The Self-Overcoming of Nihilism. Okay.
Religion and Nothingness, Nishitani seeks a synthesis and dialogue between Western and Eastern philosophy and spiritual experience, with an emphasis on contemplative praxis. The two texts complement one another as records of a shift of emphasis in the author's thought. In The Self-Overcoming of Nihilism, Nishitani begins by tracing back the historical understanding of nihilism and philosophers such as Hegel, Schopenhauer, Kierkegaard, Nietzsche, Max Stirner, Heidegger, and Sartre. Nishitani gives his own answer to nihilism, as is explicit in the title, of nihilism overcoming itself rather than us overcoming it. The nature of nihilism can be conceived in two
Oh,
ways,
that's
as
beautiful.
universal and existential, and as particular and historical. This duality is something that should be grasped in one single vision in order to understand how nihilism operates in actual reality. Nihilism is a sign of the collapse of the social order externally and of spiritual decay internally, and as such signifies a time of great upheaval. Whereas before human existence had a clear and eternal meaning, a way in which to live, which one may or may not want to follow, now existence is deprived of such meaning. It stands before nothingness as having been stripped naked, becoming a question mark for itself, and this in turn transforms the world itself into a question. The world in which we live reveals itself as an abyss, and profound anxiety shakes the foundation of human being. Nishitani writes, in short, nihilism refuses treatment as merely an external problem for oneself, or even contemplation as a problem internal to each individual self. This is the essence of nihilism. Nihilism demands that each individual carry out an experiment within the self. There is a lot of philosophy that focuses only on conceptual analysis, where one loses touch with the human condition. Nihilism is first and foremost a problem of the self, as it underlies being itself. Dostoevsky and Nietzsche, among others, opened new paths towards nihilism, where things no longer stand firm on the basis of things human, the path towards Christ, the God-man, or the Übermensch, the man-god. While they by no means solved everything, there is no doubt that through their struggle they turned the European spirit in the direction of what is its profoundest dimension. However, the attempt to preserve the self from nothingness at all costs means that the process of meaninglessness is not allowed into the self. It is cocooned from it, avoiding reality. We become self-enclosed and all our experiences relate back to the self. Thus, when we encounter nihility, we see it as eroding the very meaning of our life, and we try to resist it with ourself, only to sink further into it, like quicksand. One of Nishitani's deepest insights is that we haven't been able to take nihilism deep enough so that it overcomes itself. Nishitani wants to achieve a radicalization of nihility whereby nihilism overcomes itself. The awakening of the great doubt is the conversion to shunyata, or emptiness, which is the deepest layer of being. Nihility is as part of the fabric of reality as being is. On this new field of emptiness, you have the paradoxical coexistence of things, where nihility constitutes the realness of being. This interdependent co-arising is a key notion in Buddhism. Until one accepts nihility as part of the self, there is a lack of relationship with oneself, and a complete lack of contact. Nishitani traverses nihilism in a much more existential mode, where it is not always relating back to the self as an external event, but is actually part of the self. Things can then be encountered on their own home ground, as Nishitani puts it. One doesn't know something by representing it, willing it, or expressing it, but by becoming it.
If you're texting a girl you really like, but she's leaving you on red, waiting hours to reply, or ghosting you...
In Religion and Nothingness, he begins by asking, what is religion?
I think it's very important to have, because I think a lot of people, because of fear, they don't want to encounter moments like that. It's too overbearing, and it's understood as to the reason why most people do that. But I think for me, I like to encounter that on a daily basis, constantly. And with that being said, I think, I want to deeply get comfortable with that notion and that idea, the more and more, and even the road that I plan to take on. It's basically that. It's like, certain men were born to go into the abyss of nothingness, and all for the sake of trying to find themselves. And most people, but most people don't take that road, and so it takes few men to just go down there and see what it's about. So there's that.
Religion, that is in fact the original title of the work. What exactly is the purpose of religion for us, and why do we need it? Nishitani is creating a dialogue between Buddhism and
The
Christianity,
yin and
and he often
yang.
appears to be more concerned with Christian conceptions than with Buddhist ones. However, the notion of shunyata is central. Religion is not something that claims to be based on some sort of creed. It is the absolute negation of the experience of absolute nothingness and the various efforts to achieve it. Nishitani also talks about the dangers of scientism to overlook not only religion but philosophy as well. This occurs when science seems to regard its own scientific standpoint as a position of unquestionable truth, from which it can assert itself in all directions, so that things like religion, philosophy, and the arts appear as no more than subjective opinion. In this way, our existential problems and the human condition is completely ignored.
Yeah, that's why, I appreciate science to an extent. The hierarchy of like my favorite works have always, I mean, my favorite subjects like in high school, they were always like within the four. I would say it would be literature, like the core four is literature, number one, number two, history, number three, science, number four, math. I don't think that's uncommon. I think a lot of people have that. Probably they interchange it between history. Probably put history at the top, and then secondary literature, or they put science at the top and they put like that. But it's you get the point. I think that like the list that I have is pretty common amongst people. Like I really do think it is, but I don't think that's unique. But I think I think there's a lot of people that like sort of are specifically sort of scientists can be quite pretentious within their notion about facts, and that should be the absolute, in that of course people can express whatever they can express, but it's all under the guise of subjectivity, and my facts are the facts, and that's that. And people like Neil deGrasse Tyson, Sam Harris, they kind of carry these sort of ideas. And look, of course there is empirical things, but the thing is that all of this was discovered under the notion of questioning things. And so that just because you've already think you set a foundation is ridiculous. And that's why I've never really respected that notion. Now, of course, science creates everything. It created this lamp, it created this fucking computer that I'm streaming in. It created the airwaves in which I can communicate this to you. It's very important. It's very important. And I don't doubt that. But at the end of the day, I think there was a quote, I think it was in Good Will Hunting, which is that, let me actually find it. I'm actually gonna go ahead and take a detour and try to find it. But um yeah, I'm gonna find it real quick. No. Yes, exactly. Exactly. This is the exact kind of, let me lower my screen. So for the sake of explaining this. But yeah, exactly. Like this explanation right here. It's like medicine, law, business, engineering. These are noble pursuits and necessary to sustain life. But poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for. So, of course, all of this is is incredibly necessary for the practical survival of our species. But at the end of the day, like, after all of that, which will always constantly be happening until, well, that's the question. That's why are we doing this? What's the whole point of it? That's important. That's exactly why. That's why it needs to be continued. It needs to be discussed, like, continuously. There's not like a set in stone. It just doesn't end at a certain point. Um, as long as we're here. Personally, I believe in heaven, so I believe in the existence of that. So I do believe that after all of this, is where we go, and it's where it's all building up towards. But yeah, so that's basically my whole point about that. Is about science and the notion of that. Like, like the quote says, it's like all those things are practically important. Essentially, is what it's trying to say. But what is the purpose of it? Like, at the end of the road of building all that shit, what's the purpose of it? Purpose is for me to get up on here and question certain things, for sure. Is to have a greater journey and a greater satisfaction towards the journey of questioning things, and really is not a journey of just simply questioning things, but it's just a journey towards getting to know things better and better and better. This is what it comes down to. So, yeah.
For Nishitani, religion has to do with life itself. Whether the life we're living will end up in extinction or in the attainment of eternal life is a matter of the utmost importance for life itself. Religion, unlike culture, is at all times the individual affair of each person. Accordingly, we cannot understand what religion is from the outside. The religious quest alone is the key to understanding it. There is no other way. Nishitani says that it is a mistake to ask, what is the purpose of religion for us, as it tries to detach us from the religious quest by obscuring the way to its own answer from the very start. It blocks out becoming a question to ourselves. Instead, religion poses as a starting point the question, for what purpose do I exist? He writes, why do we exist at all? Is not our very existence and human life ultimately meaningless? Or, if there is a meaning or significance to it all, where do we find it? When we doubt the meaning of our existence in this way, when we have become a question to ourselves, the religious quest awakens within us. It is the conversion from a self-centered mode of being, which always asks what use things have for us, to an attitude that asks for what purpose we ourselves exist. Only when we stand at this turning point does the question, what is religion, really become our own. Nishitani understands the essence of religion as the real self-realization of reality. Religion is to see things as they are on their own home ground, and this real self-realization of reality is possible only by understanding nihility as part of our existence. The realization of shunyata is not our salvation or fate, but rather our vocation. Our thought becomes non-dualistic, so that we become the world and the world becomes us. This is the Buddhist idea of the non-self, the self-awareness in which the self awakens to its true nature. The non-self is paradoxically the true self. The rejection of the ego gives way to the codependence of everything, to what is known as Indra's net. All things that are in the world are linked together, one way or the other. Not a single thing comes into being without some relationship to every other thing. We become the masters of ourselves and a servant in relation to others. This approach is used in Japanese psychotherapy to successfully treat neurotic patients suffering from anxiety and depression. The acceptance of things as they are, instead of fleeing into imaginary scenarios or focusing monomaniacally on the ego's petty concerns, is believed to be crucial for the individual's well-being and also for the healthy functioning of society as a whole. In order to become united with reality in a non-dual awareness, it is necessary to learn to empty the self and see things as they truly are without our subjective distortions and our reflective interpretations. Rising above the subject-object division gives way to pure experience. This again does not make much sense to the conceptual mind. We tend to reify nihility because we cannot wrap our heads against it. In fact, Nishitani explicitly states that one must have contemplative practice to understand the essence of religion and nothingness. Religion and nothingness is not just a book, but rather a deeply transformative experience. Nishitani's profound existential concern is far from the speculative and abstract philosophy. Using the words of psychology and cognitive science professor John Vervaeke, we must not only know about things, propositional knowledge, but also how to do things, procedural knowledge, how to perceive the world, perspectival knowledge, and how to participate in it by knowing our place in the world and how we relate to the
Propositional knowledge, procedural knowledge, and perspectival knowledge. Propositional, you propose. Procedural, you start the procedure. And perspective, you reflect on that, I guess.
the world as
I'll let
agents,
him explain.
participatory knowledge.
Participatory. You engage in it directly.
Philosophy is a transformative experience. Influenced by Zen master Dogen, Nishitani practiced
So,
transformative.
well, how does that work exactly? So it would be like propositional, you propose the idea. Procedural, you lay out the procedure of that proposition. You reflect on it by perspective, and then you engage in it directly by participation. Having that holistic experience rather than just simply understanding. Maybe.
Experience. Influenced by Zen master Dogen, Nishitani practiced Zazen or sitting meditation for more than 2 decades, a physical practice that grounded his thinking in lived experience. The harsh reality of Zen life is to sit and not try to do anything. Particularly in the West, a sense of ennui arises, of utter lack of
That is
occupation
difficult.
and
That is not the lifestyle here. Hell no.
Because we've been taught that we must be productive and not waste time, we become deeply alienated from ourselves, from other people, and from nature. It is difficult to experience time as time and nothing else. We have the tendency to kill time, or to say, today I have wasted all my time. We begin to see time as something to fight against, as the constant striving for more and more progress. The truth is that the present moment is the only reality. Zen is just being with existence. There's no other point, not thinking about what to do next, but doing one's duty each day. If you do your duty, you'll be satisfied. If you've been avoiding what you're supposed to do the whole day, you'll be miserable. Having received a human life, do not waste the passing moments. Human life is like a flash of lightning, transient and illusory, gone in a moment.
Yeah, 100%. I understand that, and I understand the appeal of that. At the end of the day, it's like we're in a rat race, 100%. But I think it's important for certain people, and those certain people, I would include myself in that alignment. And I think it's just necessary for me to get to where I need to get to. But hopefully at the end of the road I could meet something like this. Hopefully. If it doesn't end in chaos.
My day after trying magic mushrooms. Okay, so they're not psychedelics, but they are adaptogenic.
Nishitani understands human existence as consisting in 3 fields: consciousness, nihility, and emptiness. These fields are always co-present, and each deeper field is more extensive and encompassing than the one above it. The field of consciousness is where we live most of our waking lives. This is our life perspective. We claim to know other people and things, but in fact what we know are merely our own subjective concepts and representations of them. We see things from the standpoint of the self, and in fact many of us can get all the way to the grave without ever becoming aware of the deeper layers of our existence. Invoking Plato's allegory of the cave, Nishitani states that we sit like spectators in the cave of the self, watching the shadows pass to and fro across its walls, and calling those shadows reality. Below that we have the field of nihility. This is by contrast a death perspective, when we encounter the terror of nothingness and meaninglessness. However, death is not something that waits us in some distant future, but something that we bring into the world with us at the moment we're born. Our life stands poised at the brink of the abyss of nihility, to which it may return at any moment. Nihility set in opposition of being. It stands over against existence. It is situated alone, by itself, outside of existence. That is, it is still taken as something called nihility. Nishitani calls it a standpoint of relative nothingness, which he believes was Nietzsche's view. One doesn't overcome nihilism through a summoning of the will to power on the part of the heroic ego, but rather by accepting it as part of being. While Nietzsche came close to overcoming nihilism, he did not stare into the abyss for long enough. The fundamental difference is that Nietzsche does not allow the full Zen standpoint of non-self to appear. It remains a standpoint of the will. We must step back from nihility to the field of emptiness to shed light on what is underfoot. Nishitani writes, in contrast to the field of nihility, on which the desolate and bottomless abyss distances even the most intimate of persons or things from one another, on the field of emptiness, that absolute breach points directly to a most intimate encounter with everything that exists. Whereas nihility is relative nothingness, emptiness is absolute nothingness, the negation which encompasses everything else, and from which particular beings form and emerge. The absolute negation, as the negation of negation, becomes the great affirmation. In the openness of shunyata, realized by nihility overcoming itself, one completely oversteps the confines of self-consciousness and comes to be free of egocentrism, anthropocentrism, and even theocentrism, thus allowing ultimate reality to manifest itself in all its fullness. In reaching the final field, we feel at home. One breathes pure mountain air. It offers us the most enlightened life, a death-life perspective, in which we experience the most profound joy. It is the hero's journey, the psychological death and rebirth of oneself, giving birth to a new self, the non-self, and gaining new insights as wisdom to tackle life's hardships. In Zen, this becomes the great death, the moment in which the great doubt finishes its work, which only a few will have experienced, though all will experience the small death. If you die before you die, then when you die, you don't die. For Nishitani, Western philosophy has most
Die, you die, and when you do die, you don't die. Because when you accept death, and the consam, it's not simply, wait, when you die, you die.
though all will experience the small death. If you die before you die,
If you die before you die,
then when you die,
or then when you die,
you don't die.
you don't die. Yeah, it could be explained simply as when you accept death and what it comes with, and you know what can lie on the other side, or simply as a concept, you don't actually die because it actually becomes something else. What that is, I know what that is. I'm confident of what I know what that is, but in a general sense, what is that?
For Nishitani, Western philosophy has mostly been conducted on the field of
What is
consciousness,
that?
where we have no access to things themselves, but only to our subjective representations of them. Getting past the ego is getting past the suffering. Ecstasy is to transcend oneself without ceasing to be oneself. By not making contact with the deepest layers of ourselves, we remain alienated and live without truly knowing who we are. We become like the fly bumping against a window pane but unable to get through. One ignores the reality of life and the abyss that lies beneath oneself. and which will manifest itself whether one is aware of it or not. By contrast, on the field of emptiness, we can break through how things appear to human subjects and encounter things as they are in themselves. Not only is one transformed into a new self, but the world also changes form in our eyes. We gain.
I think nihilism is more focusing on the pain that comes with this sort of existentialist point of view, as opposed to emptiness. It's just like this acceptance that it is what it is, and accepting that notion.
A new vision, a change of heart, a deepening of our perspective. We reveal what was hitherto concealed. As a result of the self's realization concerning its deep interconnectedness with the world, the self stops seeing the world as something external to it. The new self is transformed because it does not prioritize itself over other selves any longer. By practicing this view from above, one moves to a third-person perspective and steps back from one's narrow view of things. Instead of seeing oneself as insignificant in the cosmos at large, the individual brings cosmic significance to his or her life. The cosmos and the individual interpenetrate. One becomes a cosmic individual. Similar to Kierkegaard's Night of Faith, by moving from finitude to the cosmos and back again to finitude, one delights in everything finite, seeing reality as it is. One's outer appearance looks just like any ordinary person. There's no special aura or superiority that marks the distinctness of the cosmic individual, but at the same time, every step is filled with the invisible force of cosmic significance. If you forget yourself, you become the universe. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, comment, or share the content.
Interesting. Okay, well, I guess I'll be left with those ideas in my head for the rest of the night, but I'll see you guys tomorrow, and yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow, and we'll leave it at that. So, peace.